Welcome to the project, everyone. Today we get the chance to work on our beautiful JDM Beast again, our Nissan 370Z. If you haven't seen before, we've done quite a bit of mechanical work to this car. I think the last video we had was redoing the entire clutch system, like quite literally the entire clutch system. So if you haven't seen that video, go back and watch it. But today it's not as involved of a project, but it definitely should show some results. So the reason I'm here is because we're gonna restore the headlights. Hopefully you guys can tell, but these headlights are actually yellowed quite a bit, and maybe pulling it off on the side will be able to show you a little bit better. Yeah, do you guys see how yellowed the lights are? They just, when you get at angle, they are not clear. They're pretty yellowed. So I'm really excited to restore these today. And if you didn't know, we'll walk you through the process a little bit of what exactly restoring headlights entails. At the very basis, what it is that you just sand it down. So you remove material off the headlight, get it down to where it's like you remove all the yellowed plastic and then sand it back smooth so that way it's clear. We need to remove material, and how we do that is through abrasive. So I have a few different types here, like here's a Scotch-Brite pad. And they all have like a rating on it. So here's one that goes on like a palm sander. See, here's some 600 grit. If you didn't know, the lower the number, the rougher it is. So here's some 60 grit, and it is, you know, like really rough. But this 600 is a lot smoother. So what you do typically to make something nice and shiny is you'll start with like a lower grit, maybe not 60, but something a little bit higher. And you'll sand down so it gets smooth, but you still have some deep cuts from the rougher material. And you keep moving up in your grit levels, so that way you're like removing more and more material and removing the deep cuts. So essentially each sandpaper is gonna cut a certain depth because of how rough it is. And as you move up in the grits, you're gonna be making smaller and smaller cuts in there, and eventually you'll come out with like a really smooth material. So when you get up into the higher grits too, you typically will also wet sand, so that way it'll help remove the material and keep what you're sanding cool. Because sometimes, you know, like today with plastic, if it overheats, that's not going to be good for it. So that's where, oh, and I guess the final, if you want to get really high grit levels, then what you do is like basically what's called buffering. Buffing, that's what it's called. So you'll put, instead of using like sandpaper, you'll use almost like sand compound or buffing compound, and then you'll rub it on there. And so like this paste is what's removing material. And oftentimes you can buy like a headlight restoration kit. I have a 3M one here. And all this does, it just gives you the sandpapers and the steps for like how to step it up correctly to the really high grits to get like a high gloss, high see-through surface on there. And they also give you drill attachments, so that way you're not just sitting there by hand trying to sand it. I think the Z headlights are complicated enough. We might have to do some hand sanding, but we'll get there. So first on the headlights though, our body is in terrible shape, but I still want to protect the paint a little bit. So what we need to do is actually tape around the headlight. And I think I'm gonna pull the hood up. So that way, if we ever accidentally go off, we're not gonna be sanding through our paint. We're just sanding through our headlight. So let's get it taped up and go from there. So we finished the tape here, and sometimes I like to do a like double layer, just depending on how much I'm gonna hit it. You just wanna make sure that you're not gonna like hit it and sand through it and then hit your paint. But I'm pretty happy with the amount of protection we have here, and we're just gonna go with the first disc here, It's 500 grit. You just want to make sure you're not putting too much pressure, you're not putting too much heat into it, so that way you're not smearing, you're smearing the headlight. It's going to get really foggy, but what we're looking for is to sand this until the plastic coming off, the powder that's coming off, isn't yellow anymore. And once we get through the yellowed plastic, then we know that we're ready to start moving to the next steps. So I haven't done a headlight this complicated, because there's a nice bulb right here and we've got all of this, but we'll see how it goes. Here goes nothing. I don't know if you guys can see, but the powder coming off is really yellow. Okay, so I think I've gotten the first step done on this side. And again, this first step is the most important one because we are removing all the yellow material. So every step after this is just getting it back to being clear. So you really want to make sure that all the yellow is removed. So when you sand, the powder coming off is white, not yellow. And I think I've gotten it here. Hopefully you can tell, yeah, that one looks way more yellow. And then the driver's side is a bit more clear. So I'm hoping, I mean, I worked on it quite a while. I think I've gotten all the yellow out. Now it's just time to do that side. So let's get to it. As you can see down here in the powder from before is really yellow, but right now the powder coming off is like white. So that means at least I know right in here that I've gotten down through the yellowed material. So now I just need to do that everywhere and we can move on. So on this step right here, I don't know if they tell you to use water, but what I'm trying to do is just get all the powder off of this and see if there's any spots of yellow that I haven't removed. Because if I like it, then I can continue on to the next step. Just kind of cleaning them off and seeing if I like it, which I think I do. I do see a crack here and there is a nice little dent on the other side. There's a little bit right there that I need to remove. There we go. That looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna once over and move on to the next step. The next step is putting on 800 grit sandpaper and sanding it all down again. So right now we have 500 grit depth gouges or scratches in here, and then we're gonna sand it down with the 800 till everything's an 800. All the scratches are this deep. All right, so I've done the sanding with the 800 grit, so we should only have 800 grit scratches. So now we go up to 3000 grit, which is just like a foam pad, and we're gonna wet it and wet the surface. So this is where we're gonna move into wet sanding, kind of a thing. So wet the surface, and we should start getting a little bit of clarity with this. Okay, so now we're on to the final step. We went with the 3000, so now we have a sponge or a pad, and we're going to be using sanding compound or buffing compound, as they say. Just put a dot of it, or a dime size. There we go. Oh. Okay. So we just have a little bit in there. I forget if I have to wet it. Nope, this compound should be enough to keep it all wet. So before we get to the glamour shots, you just want to make sure this slurry and stuff and all the dust, you definitely want to get off your car because it can do damage and stick around for a long time. So we're just going to rinse it off. All right, here's the finished product. Like, ooh, that looks so much better. I honestly did not think it would turn out this good. I mean, look at that. I will say I spent quite a bit of time on this chrome strip right here, just because it'll reflect the scratches a bunch, and I feel like that chrome strip is really unique to the 370Z. But like overall, yeah, those headlights look way better. Really stoked with how it came out. Honestly think it wouldn't come out this good. If you guys didn't know, our 370Z, we actually got it from a bit of a troubled past. Like, it has been hammered. And it was in a whole accident, and they just did the worst job fixing it. So we have, like, our body is not that good at all. We have a ton of paint issues all over the whole thing. But, you know, I'm fine with that. It kind of fits my style a bit better. I don't have to worry about it as much. Sure, I wish the paint was nice. At the same time, I don't have to care about it. And so all of our work has been done to do, like, to make it really mechanically sound and mechanically a beast. And I guess this can mark the start of trying to make it look a little bit better too. So heckin' good.
Wow, that looks really good. It's kind of blinding my eyes.
With how good it is.
It's so, like, the reflections. Woo-wee, wow. No, that looks really, like, that looks a lot better. They're, like, very clear. They look brand new.
That's good.
No,
like
yeah, it looks really good. Good job.
Do I get a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
2 thumbs up.
So that'll do it for this project. I hope you guys had a fun time. Hope you learned a few things. If you want to restore your own headlights, just be a little careful. Like on here, I knew my paint was chipping, and so it pulled off the paint a little bit when I pulled off the masking tape. But honestly, it's not too bad. Just have a lot of drill batteries ready to go, and I'm pretty sure you can do it. It's kind of fun. A lot of sanding, a lot of dust. Anyways, hope you guys hit the like button and subscribe so we can see you on the next project. But until then, I will see you guys later. Bye.